Let's talk about electronic mail or email and the corresponding protocols that we use to send emails. As with ordinary postal mails, email is an asynchronous communication medium, which means that the two sides, the sender and receiver, should not be online at the same time. Which means sender can send the mail and receiver can get that mail whenever it wants. So that's why we say that this is an asynchronous communication medium, just like the ordinary postal mails. But the difference is obvious. I mean, between the postal mails and emails, the difference is that emails are cheaper, right? So which means that you do not need to put some stamp, or you do not need to have some physical paper to send the email. So you can just send as many emails as you want just with one internet connection, right? So emails are cheaper and obviously they are faster. So that is why electronic mail or emails are more convenient compared to the postal mails. So before we look into the protocols that we use in emails, let's see the overall architecture. See here, you have the different user agents. Let's suppose these are the different user agents and they want to send emails to each other. Suppose this agent wants to send email to this user agent. Then what will happen? This user agent will first send the mail to its own local server, or its own mail server. Then this mail server will send the mail to this user agent mail server, and then this mail server will send the mail to user agent. So basically this is not happening directly, which means this user agent is not sending the mail directly to this user agent. There are mail servers involved in between the both the parties. So this user agent will send the mail to its own mail server. Then this mail server will send the mail to another mail server, and then this mail server will send the mail to this user agent. This is the overall process using which we send emails from one party to another party. Now there might be there might be many questions which are like, why we are not sending from this user agent to directly to this user agent, or why we are not sending from this user agent to this mail server. There might be many questions that you might be having, so we will answer this question as we proceed further. Okay, but for now you should understand the architecture in the sense that this happens in this way, and what are these mail servers and user agents. So user agents are just like your application program, which are just like Gmail, Outlook, these things. And this mail servers are just like servers. So you might have heard about the web servers, right, which hosts your particular website. Similarly, there are mail servers. So mail servers are just like web servers, but the users are different. And there are some servers which provides the functionality of both, which means they provide the functionality of mail server and web server also. But there are some servers. In those servers, every user agent has some mailbox. So this is the mailbox of user agent 1, which means if this user agent has to send some mail, then this mail will be put into this mailbox, and then from this mailbox you will be sending the mail to another mail server, right? So this is just like a Gmail account. Suppose I have the Gmail account, which means that I have one mailbox in one of the Gmail server. Okay, so I hope this idea is clear, that there are two user agents and how they are sending the mails. This user agent will send the mail to its mail server. This mail server will send the mail to another mail server, and then this mail server will send the mail to the user agent. So that's how it happens. Now here, as you have seen, there are two basic components. One is user agent, second one is mail server, and this is also called mail transfer agent or message transfer agent. Okay, so user agents are just like our local programs. This could be GUI based or could be command based. So which means you can use the terminal to send the mails, or you can use your GUI, which means like you can use Gmail GUI or Outlook GUI, something like that, right? You can use these GUIs to send the mail, or you can use the command, you can use the terminal to send the mail. Generally we use the GUI based applications. And then there are message transfer agents. So these are the mail servers or message transfer agents which are run in the background to move messages from the host to destination, right? So from this host to destination, these are the these mail servers are run in the background, which means these mail servers are basically always running, and they are never down, which means if you want to send some mail, then after sending the mail you could be offline, but these mail servers are never offline. Why? Because some other user might want to send the mail. So that's why most of the time these mail servers are on and they always run in the background. Now let's answer the question where I asked you that how about direct connection between sending and receiving host, which means why this user agent is not directly sending the mail to this user agent. Why this communication is happening using the mail servers? So what do you think could be the answer? The answer is this, that the receiver machine may or may not be always on, which means suppose you realize and you want to send a mail to Bob, and then in this case, like the way the communication happen is like this: you will send to your mail server, and then this mail server will send the mail to the Bob's mail server, and then this will send a mail to Bob, right? So my question is this, that why we are not sending it directly? Because the Bob may not always be on. Whenever you want to send the mail, it is not the case that Bob is also on at that time, because the communication is asynchronous, right? This was the whole idea around the email. And second point is that user may want to receive the mail from multiple machines. This is also very important point, which means you may use, as a Bob, you may use the mobile, you may use PC, or you may use some other machine to receive the mails. So if Alice has to send the mail, then if it has to send the mail directly, then you need to tell that okay, you need to send the mail only on mobile. Like you will provide the IP address of your one of your machine, either of mobile or PC or some other machine, right? So Alice has to know the IP address of one of the machine, and it cannot send. I mean, it can send, but generally it will be troublesome if it has to send to all the machines, and this will, or and also like these all the machines has to be on all the time. I mean, whenever Alice is sending the message. So clearly this is not convenient. So what has to be done? This Alice has to send the message to mail server instead of directly sending to the Bob. Now there is a second question, which is that why Alice is sending this message to this mail server, which means why not the Alice is sending the mail directly to this mail server, and why Alice is sending the mail first to its own mail server. The answer is that, see, there are like two things. One is that if Alice has to send the mail to this mail server, and suppose this mail server is busy, then in that case, the Alice has to wait for this mail server to respond, and this is also not desired. What if the Allies just send the mail to this mail server and let this mail server handle whether this is busy or not? So this mail server will keep on asking another mail server whether the Bob's mail server is busy or not. One is that. Second point is that, see, this communication is like, I mean, this is one way communication, but Bob may also reply. So anyway the Allies has to maintain its own mail server, right? So if Bob replies, then in that case the Allies also has to maintain its own mail server. So Allies is anyways having its own mail server, so why not to just put all the mails on its own mail server and let this mail server handle all the headache, right? So let's look at the more technical architecture, which in the sense, like in this case I will tell you the steps that how this is happening. So suppose you realize, and this MUA means mail user agent, and this mail user agent, as you have seen earlier, this is the user agent. So this user agent, we is sending basically the message to Bob's user agent, right? So first step is that it will send the mail to its own mail server. Now its own mail server could be anything. Suppose this is smtp.a.org. So suppose that Ali's mail ID is alice @a.org, Bob mail ID is bob @b.org. Okay, which means that Bob is inside this organization. Bob is having an email ID of this b.org organization. Alice is having an email ID of a.org, which means Alice is in this organization. So you may use Gmail, you may use your own organization, maybe I have worked at Amazon, so I was having @amazon.com, I was having @isc.ac.in. So these email IDs you can have based on the organization in which you are working, right? Now this Allies will send the mail to its own mail server, which means organization's mail server. So this mail server is suppose smtp.o.org. Now this has to send mail to Bob's mail server. But the problem is that this mail server may not know Bob's mail server email ID. So for that we have two steps extra, which means we will ask for the IP address from the DNS. So this part we have not covered yet, so I will not go into the detail. So there are some authoritative DNS servers and all, so I will not go into detail. But yeah, just remember, like, there are some entries in the DNS, and DNS provide multiple functionalities. I mean, based on whether I'm asking IP address of the Gmail, I'm asking IP address of the mail server, I am asking IP address of the web server, or there are some multiple functionalities that DNS provides. So if it is providing the service for the mail server, then it is called MX. So anyway, that Ali's mail server will send a DNS request to have a IP address of Bob's mail server, and then once it gets the IP address of Bob's mail server using the DNS, then in the fourth step it will send the mail to Bob's mail server. Then this mail will get retrieved from the Bob's one of the machine in the step 5. So this is how it is happening. Now, if I go into little more detail, then there are some protocols. One is SMTP and one is POP3. So from Ali's host machine to mail server, there is some protocol that we use, that is SMTP protocol. And from this mail server to this mail server, we again use the SMTP protocol. And then if we want to pull the message, then there are some different protocols. One is POP3, another one is IMAP. So basically, if you are sending from Ali's, then it will send from its mail server using SMTP protocol, and then from this it will send the mail to mail server of Bob. So I'm not considering currently DNS. Okay, don't worry about the DNS entry. Basically, it will first get the DNS. Using the DNS, it will get the IP address, and then it will send the mail to mail server of Bob. So this is also done using the SMTP. Then once this mail is received in this mail server and the mailbox of Bob. So in this mail server also there are mailbox, right? See, this is the mailbox of, let's suppose, Bob. So once it receive the mail in the mailbox of Bob, then the Bob will retrieve this message, or we also call it pull this message, using different protocols. One is called POP3, another one is called IMAP. So basically POP3 is absolute now. It is not being used. IMAP is most popular protocol that we use, and using these protocols we like Bob pull the mail to one of its machine. So it may pull the mail to its PC, it may pull the mail to mobile, anything, right? So we will talk about these protocols in detail, but for now I just want to convey this overall pipeline, how it is happening. LS is sending the mail to its mail server is sending the mail to Bob's mail server, and then Bob is pulling the mails from the mail servers. This is how it is happening, right? Now let's talk about these protocols in detail. One is simple mail transfer protocol that we use from allies to mail server and then mail server to mail server. So at two places we use SMTP, and at the third place we use either POP3 or IMAP. So generally we use IMAP. SMTP stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, and it uses the TCP for the reliable transfer email connections, which means if you want to send this mail using the SMTP to this mail server, then first you need to establish the TCP connection between these two. So first TCP connection will get established, and then it sends the message, which means the data transfer happens after the TCP connection, and it uses the port 25. That is all we need to understand SMTP. I mean, as per the GATE syllabus. So if you look at any other book, and any of the book, like, you will not be finding much details, because these are the only details that we need. And in books also the details are not comprehensive, like they also kept it short. So now there are these protocols which are POP3 and IMAP. So let's talk about these protocols. These are called mail access protocols, which means you got the mails in the mail server. Now you want to pull those mails. Now, as I said, messages are waiting in the receiver's mailbox at the receiver's mail server, and you want to pull those mails, right? For that, there are two protocols that we use. One is POP3, another one is IMAP. Let's talk about both of them. So POP3 is very simple protocol and is having very limited functionality. The typical use of POP3 is basically the email is retrieved and stored at user PC. So this is very important, and this is basically POP3 is used for the offline read, which means that from this mail server, when you are getting the mail, POP3 does what? POP3 basically deletes the mail from the server, which means it pulls the mail permanently and it deletes the mail from the mail server. It downloads the mail in the Bob's machine, right? So POP3 basically downloads the mail in the Bob's machine and it stores it permanently there. So for the offline usage, which may not be desirable. Why? Suppose that this is the Bob's mail server or Bob's organization mail server, and there are five mails, one, two, three, four, five mails that are in the mailbox of Bob. Now Bob does what? Bob opens its PC and downloads. Let's suppose till now there are only four mails and or three mails, something like that. And Bob's download four mails. Let's suppose this one, two, three, four. And at another time, this fifth mail has come, and then Bob's open its mobile and Bob's download the fifth mail. So these are not synchronous, which means like this is having four mails, this is having fifth mail. So these are not in the sync, right? And this is not like much usage in the practice nowadays, because in our machine we basically have all the mails. Either we are using it PC in the PC or we are using the mobile. So basically POP3 does what? POP3 deletes the mail permanently from the mail server, and that's why this is not in the much usage. So does not maintain state across the session, which means this also does not maintain the state, which means like it does not say whether your mail is read, your mail is deleted or something like that. It does not maintain any state. And it also uses the TCP to download the mails, and it operates on the 11 node port. Now let's talk about the IMAP, which is being used most popularly nowadays. So it does what? It keeps tracks of the message status, which means whether it is read, whether it is replied to, whether it is marked for deletion, these things. And it does not delete the mails permanently, which means if there's the mail server of Bob's organization, then if this is Bob, then this IMAP handles mails on the mailbox only, which means the mails are never downloaded in the Bob. I mean, you can download it if you want it, but they are always stored in the mail server. So irrespective whether you are using PC or whether you are using mobile, your mails are always in the sync, because you are viewing those mails on the mail server, not locally on your machine. Which means even though there are too much mails, your machine space is, let's suppose 50 GB or something, then this space will be intact. This will be 50 GB only. So everything is on the cloud. Okay, this protocol IMAP supports it, which means it does not download the mail unless and until you want it to do. So that's why we use it very often. And it also searches the server side searches. It also supports the server side searches, which means if you are viewing, you want to view some mail which is having some let's suppose subject line, maybe computer networks. With this subject line you want to search some mail, then you can search in the server, which means you do not need to download all the mails and you can directly search on the server. This is what we do generally in the Gmail also, right? And IMAP servers listen on the port 143. Now this is one thing. Another thing is that if there's a mail server, then in this mail server there could be different organizations, which means suppose I opened my own organization, suppose Go classes. So in this mail server could provide the functionalities for different small organizations. One is Go classes, another is something else, another is something else. So basically if you want to send some mail that is having @goclasses.in, something like that, then this mail will be sent to this mail server. Again, if you want to send some mail that is let's suppose this is getoverflow.in, right? And if you want to send some mail that is having @getoverflow.in, then this will also send to the same mail server. So this is, I just wanted to tell you that you do not need to have a dedicated mail server one mail server for your own organization. You can just rent out some of the space from the mail servers, from the big companies mail server like Google, Outlook, these things. Now there is a web based access also, which means you do not need to use their applications. You can do what? You can just open www.google or www.gmail.com, something like that. which uses the HTTP protocol, which means instead of using SMTP protocol from allies to allies mail server, what you can do, you can use HTTP protocol, and this will send the mail to mail server. From this mail server to Bob's organization mail server, you are still using the SMTP protocol. There is no change in that. But from this mail server to Bob's laptop, you can again use the HTTP protocol, right? So basically, HTTP is quite new protocol compared to SMTP and all. So this HTTP provides the functionality of SMTP. Here it is providing the functionalities of SMTP. Here it is providing the functionalities of POP3 or IMAP. So HTTP provides both of this functionality. If you want to have a web browser access of your mails, then you can use HTTP. But still, the mail servers are using the SMTP protocol.